Hi, I'm Howard Phillips, and welcome to my channel. This is not my first video, but it is my first proper video, so I hope you like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Now let's talk about Bigfoot. There's a lot of history before the infamous film that shot him into the spotlight, so let's talk about it. Now the story of Bigfoot begins with Native Americans, specifically those on the west coast of the United States. Native Americans talked with the Sangha and painted pictures of them, and many people even theorize that the 1500 Spanish explorers who saw a creature called the Dark Watchers were actually Bigfoot. However, the West Coast is not the only place where Native Americans discussed Bigfoot. In New York, the Iroquois discussed a hairy giant with rocky skin. In Alaska, the Altuik talked about the Nantique, a type of Bigfoot rumored to have caused the town of Portluck to be abandoned. Anyway, let's talk about Colonel Roosevelt. Yes, that's right, the 26th President of the United States is now a part of this story. You see, in 1893, Roosevelt published a book called The Wilderness Hunter. In that book, he described a story here from an old man called Bauman. In that story, he said that a giant hairy creature came into his house, stole his beaver, and then proceeded to snap his friend's neck. Now, let me read this exact quote from Wikipedia here. Roosevelt notes that Bauman appeared fearful while telling the story, but attributed the trapper's German ancestry to have potentially influenced him. I have no idea why he said that. If a Bigfoot snapped someone's neck, I'd be completely terrified. But apparently Roosevelt just thought he was German, so I guess, I don't know. Now let's talk about the most infamous incident pre-1967. In 1924, the Oregonian printed a story about a group of gold hunters being attacked by Bigfeet. The U.S. Forest Service actually got involved and they said the story was a lie, but something had to attack that cabin. There was damage, visibly. Now let's discuss the story behind the infamous Patterson-Gimlin film. I've already discussed this in my YouTube short, but I will try to add more information, and I will recap the story in a more chronological order, I guess. In 1959, a former football player, rodeo rider, and boxer Roger Patterson bought the 1959 issue of True magazine. Inside was a story by cryptozoology pioneer Ivan T. Sanderson describing a Bigfoot encounter someone had. Roger was immediately hooked and spent the next 7 to 8 years being obsessed with Bigfoot. When Roger was not obsessing over Bigfoot, he was too busy being broke. You see, he invented the hula hoop toy that already existed. He tried selling ponies to both Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm, but that failed. Now, Roger had two very close friends associated with this story. One is not in the film name, but is still an important part of the story. His name was Jerry Lee Merritt, and he was a rockabilly singer who had moved to Hollywood to make it big. The other person in this story is Gimlin, just like Roger Gimlin was a boxer and a rodeo rider. In the summer of 1967, Roger managed to scrounge up $700, trademarked the name Bigfoot, and dragged his friend to North California to film for a Bigfoot docudrama. Now, in a twist of irony, this docudrama was about a miner and a Native American leading a group of cowboys to see Bigfoot. However, Roger knew that the forest they were filming in was infamous for Bigfoot sightings. So on October 20th, 1967, while Roger and Gimlin were riding on horseback, they found Bigfoot and they filmed him, changing the course of cryptozoology forever.